Vale had stood as the kingdom of the region of Morytania for hundreds of years, through the Second Age and into the Third. During the God Wars of the Third Age, vampiric forces, under the control of Lawernial Draken, successfully conquered the region, renaming it the Kingdom of Morytania. Later, in the Fourth Age, after the fall of Vale, 6 young brothers led an army of Saradomin into the lands to reclaim it. Powerful and mysterious, the brothers won battle after battle, pressing further into Morytanian lands. It is said with each battle, a robed figure watched the brothers from afar, often seen standing on a nearby rise and watching the battles unfold. The once seemingly invincible brothers became distracted as the figure was spotted with greater frequency. Where they would once plough through lines of foes without so much as a mark, they were now ending skirmishes bloodied and bruised. When a fierce attack came one night, the brothers held out until morning, when their foes fled. Injured and infected, the brothers lay in their campsite, beyond the aid of the physicians. As the sun set and the last ray of light disappeared, the brothers each took one last breath and, as if on cue, passed all at once. Reports from the sentries state that the figure was seen once again, watching over the brothers as they lay dying. Unable to transport the brothers away, the soldiers constructed great burial mounds and stone tombs beneath, as was the custom for great warriors of the time. As the ranks of the soldiers broke and they retreated to kinder lands, the stranger was said to be seen one last time, standing over the central barrow with their arms outstretched as the sun once again set. During the Fourth Age, the settlements of Mort'ton and Berg-de-Rot were constructed and settled by surviving refugees, escaping the blood tides of the vampires in Mayditch. For a time, Mort'ton grew to become a prosperous centre of trade between Berg-de-Rot, Canifis, and the lordship of the North Coast, among other regions. The settlement was largely ignored by the vampires until recent times. Utilising the natural caverns beneath the town, the settlement specialised in burials. Over time, the foul vapours of the Sanguinesti region caused the villagers to turn sick, afflicting them with a horrible disease, turning them into mindless, zombie-like people. The dead that were interred in the caverns below the surface rose as shades, infesting the settlement. Though a danger, the shades seemed to largely keep themselves within the area of Mort'ton for unknown reasons. Citizenscape has some pretty simple goals today as he makes his way south into the swamp. He will need to complete a single quest today, the Shades of Mort'ton. For skill tasks, we'll need to catch a slimy eel, requiring us to achieve level 28 fishing, and to cook the slimy eel, requiring level 28 cooking. We'll also need to mine clay, tin, and copper from the abandoned mine. For our miscellaneous tasks, we'll need to make a purchase at Razmai's Builder's Store and Razmai's General Store. We'll need to make use of the local resources to fill up at the sink in town, cremate 2 lore shades, permanently cure Razmai and Allsquire with Serum 208 after the Shades of Mort'ton quest, and to permanently cure 6 villagers with Serum 208. Finally, we'll need to read the crumbling tome found near the barrows to the east. With all that for today, let's begin. Passing through the gate and into the swamp, we are once again attacked by invisible creatures. We find swamp tar in clumps on the ground as we make our way through. Running through the swamp to avoid attacks from the invisible creatures, we see a couple of different snails to the one we took out last time. Perhaps they make different helmets. We also find a small island in the swamp with a bridge over it, but there's nothing much there. We manage to make our way out of the swamp and over a bridge to a sort of maze with even more snails. We continue on to find a priest. Hello, I'm looking for Mort'ton. Can you tell me where I might find it?
State your allegiance, stranger.
I'm sorry, allegiance to what?
Are you a follower of Holy Saradomin?
I suppose so. I've spent time with the monks on Entrana and in Edgeville.
Very good. May he bless you.
Well, that didn't help. We don't have any more of an idea where Mort'ton is. Perhaps if we keep heading south. We quickly run into a mine area crawling with vampires. Heading down into the mine to escape combat, the doors are locked. Heading back up, we see buildings in ruin to the east, but can't cross the wall to check it out. Jumping over a minecart, we can enter the set of mines. We're still looking for Mort'ton. We'll have to check this out later. Back on the swamp path, we make our way around until we see a bridge into a town. There are warning signs and the people don't look quite right. Attempting to talk with one of the people, we don't understand a word. They seem to be in a zombie-like state, and then they attack us. As we head into town, we're attacked by shades that appear from the gaseous fog covering the area. There are ghosts in the city. This isn't good. We eventually make our way into the safety of one of the buildings. It seems like it may have once been a small store, but the person within it is in the same zombie-like state. I wonder what's going on here. Spotted around town are sets of funeral pyres, though they're not in use right now. They were probably important to the town once. On a shelf in one of the houses we find a book, with some vials on the ground nearby. The book is a set of notes taken by someone called Herbie Flax. It details the slow transformation of the people into their current afflicted state and his attempts to make a cure to the condition. It talks also of a temple named Flametear with a sacred flame at its center, located to the north. The temple is no longer standing but was once of great importance. While Herbie Flax doesn't think it's important, it seems that he and the general store owner Razmir were studying the serums. The notes talk about adding ashes to a Terramin potion, which allowed the people a short cure to their affliction. Searching the nearby table, we find a few useful herbs. We briefly check out the site of the temple mentioned in the notes. The temple is decrepit and abandoned, no good to us right now. We find another afflicted member of the town who is dressed as a priest. This is likely Allsquire, who was associated with mentioning the temple in the notes by Herbie Flax. We fill up the vials in his sink before quickly making our way back to Canifis. We need to work out what's going on and help people before we're turned into zombies like they are. We take a couple of logs out of the bank and burn them, waiting for them to turn to ash. Once we have the ashes, we can make the potions as described in the journals. This should give us a brief window to talk to some of the townsfolk. We're going to bring some money and tools with us also. If we need more ashes, we can cut and burn logs. And if we cure Razmir, he may have some helpful things in stock. On our return, we find a little island with stepping stones out to it. We aren't nearly agile enough to negotiate this gap without slipping and injuring ourselves though. Let's keep going. We're stalked by a shade as we re-enter town, heading first to the general store, using the serum on Razmir.
Oh, thank you. I am my normal self again for a time.
You're welcome. I am Citizenscape. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Do you know anything?
We all started to become affected by a strange smog from the northeast. One by one, we turned into mindless creatures as the dead buried beneath the village sprang back up with a vengeance.
I see. And you were working with Herbie Flax to develop a cure to this affliction?
We were going to look into the remains of the shades, but were both afflicted before we could conclude our research. You wouldn't be able to take out, say, 5 of the shades for me so that I could continue my studies.
Oh, of course. Tasked with luring and killing 5 shades for their remains, we take out 4 before our health gets low. Heading back to Canifis and regaining prayer at Patadomus, we return to take out the final shade. On our return, we split the serum doses into fewer vials, each with more doses. Back through the swamp, we eventually make our way back to town and kill the 5th shade, returning to Razmir and curing him again. Okay, I took out the shades. What do you think of these remains?
Great. I'll take 2 of these for now and look into it. I'd suggest talking with Allsquire. He'd probably be interested in them too.
Heading over to Allsquire, we use some serum on him and return him to normal for a brief time. Showing him the shade remains, he looks over them and concludes that they are tortured spirits that need to be put to rest. He suggests a cremation on a pyre, with a sacred oil to be sure. While he's too weak to make any sort of sacred oil himself, he suggests utilizing the old temple to make it by heating olive oil over the temple's flame, though the temple would need to be rebuilt with limestone bricks, timber beams, and swamp paste first. Allsquire suggests a possible solution to making the serum permanent. The Serum 207 is a product of science, and the affliction may need a holy element to permanently cure. It's possible that the temple's flame could make it more potent. With this in mind, we make our way back over to Razmir, curing him again and purchasing some supplies to rebuild the temple. It seems that aid has come out in force to fix the temple for Mort'ton. Once the temple structure is rebuilt enough and the flame is burning, we heat the olive oil over a flame to make holy oil. We try a similar thing with the serum, which appears to make it more potent. Once we have a few more doses of holy oil, Serum 208 and a nice crafting level, we return to Razmir and Allsquire with a permanent cure. Allsquire instructs us to coat some logs in the holy oil and cremate the shade remains to put to rest. Doing so, the shades move on to the afterlife and gift us a key each. Returning to Allsquire with the news, we complete the quest. With 6 more available doses of permanent cure, we head around the town healing townsfolk. They reward us with gifts for doing so, giving us a lot of herbs. We've returned to Canifis to bank the herbs and the other things. We've been told that the keys left behind by the shades unlock chests in the crypts. First, however, we're going to enter the mines near the village. Making our way in past the vampires, we notice a broken crossbow. I wonder who settled on leaving that there. These mines are a veritable maze of tunnels and blocked paths. Attacked by a giant bat, we're able to mine some clay. Making our way around the place, we can mine some tin and copper too. We look around the remainder of the mine, getting lost in several tunnels, finding ourselves outside and down several floors. Weird things start going on. There's a minecart moving all by itself, and many confusing passages. We find some strange glowing mushrooms which we don't want to pick. Let's get out of here. We return to Mort'ton and use our keys to receive some rewards from the shades we help move on. From one chest we receive some mithril bars and a swamp paste, while we find a steel scimitar and coins in another. A strange man named Dumpe outside the catacombs hands us a broken coffin that he says he uses to store shade remains, though we'd need to find some keys to fix it up. On the other side of Mort'ton we find another fence blocking off the town of Berg-de-Rot to the south. It seems like a hard place to get into. Checking out the shacks on the other side of the river, we find one with a crumbling tome inside. The tome describes a story of 6 brothers who fought battles in Morytania centuries ago. They were buried in barrows according to the book, similar to those right here. Interesting. We remember Herbie Flax mentioning in his notes that he'd like for his studies to be seen by the herbalists of Varrock. The only one we know is the apothecary, so we hand the notes to him in exchange for a bit of training. We want to catch and cook a slimy eel near Mort'ton while we're there. While we think we're experienced enough to cook them up, catching them is a different story. We'd need 28 fishing to catch them, so we spend some time outside of the barbarian village, catching and cooking fish, getting levels 25, 26, 27 and 28 fishing, as well as level 31 and 32 cooking. Returning to the swamp, we use our newfound skills to catch 20 slimy eels, netting us level 29 fishing. Heading into town to cook them, we managed to get level 33 cooking and only burn a few. We've made quite an impact in Mort'ton today, curing the afflicted villagers and learning about the lifestyle of the people here. We've also made attempts to enter Berg-de-Rot, but can't right now. It seems that we'll need to come back another time. For now, we're going to head back up to Canifis and travel east to Port Phasmatis. I hope you'll join me next time in Port Phasmatis. If you'd like a chance to voice a character in the series, subscribe and join the Discord. Links in the description below.